I had no notion that the judges would come up with my name. And the interesting thing about this is that, it's the judges who actually come up with the candidates. So there's no question of your hearing from your publisher that you've been nominated or whatever. So that was completely out of the blue.
So they're just sitting in some room somewhere ruminating on who the great writers in the world might be at the moment, and your name is on their list.
Well, I think if you look at earlier lists, and this is the fourth time this judging has been done, on earlier occasions it really is a list of very, very well-known writers of the moment that anybody might have come up with. I think the interesting thing is that this time the judges have done obviously a lot of reading, and a lot of the people on this list are people whose names even I, as someone who's in the field, would not know. And I think that's really, really interesting to see.
Look, I'm glad you raised that, because I was looking at the list thinking, crikey, I'm not nearly as well read as I thought I was. I don't know half of these names. Wang Anyi from China, Juan Gotisolo from Spain, and it goes on. Dacia Mariani from Italy, who I don't know either. Should I? What do we know of them, David?
Well, they're also names that I didn't know. And I think that's, that says something for the kind of reading that the judges have done. They've simply not gone for a simple list of the 12 most famous people they could think of.
Nonetheless, there are some really interesting people on that list, of course, yourself included. And I wouldn't mind going through a couple of them with you. How interesting to see Philip Roth there on the list. Are you a Roth fan?
I am a Roth fan. Going back a long way. And of course he's been around a long time.
That's right.
And I think in a different period, Roth by now would have been a Nobel Prize winner. I think that's, without doubt. So I think he's a very, very strong name on that list.
When you say in a different period, you mean because some of the stuff that he writes about is a little bit challenging and to use that dreadful hackneyed phrase, not politically correct at all?
Well, I think that's part of it, and I think it would be very, very difficult, and has been difficult for the last 10 years, for an American writer, no matter how good, to be seriously considered as a Nobel Prize candidate.
Nationally and internationally, there are now so many prizes that you've won. Surely it must be just another day, another prize for you these days, or do you never lose the joy of hearing the news?
Oh, well, it's always good to hear back from readers, and, basically judges are readers, so that's always interesting. The thing that always gives you most pleasure is to see who the other people on the list are, because that tells you who are being seen as your peers.
Yes.
What happens after that is another matter. I mean, if you're lucky enough to come to the top of the list, fine. If you don't, really, in the end, what is most important to you is that first question of kind of how you're seen by really, really competent readers.
So I'm assuming here that you want to win, because of course you would have heard that John le Carre says he wants his name taken off that list. What do you make of that?
Well, I can understand that a writer like him might just feel that it's neither one thing nor another to him at the moment. At this point in his career, I mean, he's been around for a long time. He's got a lot of books. He's got a lot of readers. I suppose one wonders why he had to make that so public.
Yes.
And so dramatic.
Yes.
That's his own business.
No, very true. I mean, one could look at this honour and go, look, I don't really need it, but you don't necessarily have to go flinging it in their faces, I suppose.
That's right, yeah.
Well, we're dealing with writers here, and you people can be very ornery and very unexpected. You know that. Your writing has always seemed to me to be so painstaking. Each word so carefully selected and placed. It's very much like poetry, really. Does writing take a long time for you?
Yes, it does. And when you say it's like poetry, I really started off as a poet.
You did.
And I think almost everything I learned about writing, I learned from writing poetry. So I'm very concerned always with, as you say, the right word, but also with the music of the writing, and with somehow trying to get inside people's heads in a subjective way. So I suppose, what I learned from writing poetry, I simply carried over into the writing of prose, and that either works or it doesn't.
Well, it certainly does work, and clearly it does. And I wonder also if that explains the great economy of your writing as well. You don't need many words in order to communicate a great deal.
Well, I think the longer I've been writing, the more I value kind of concision, but also in terms of the book itself, something that is short and powerful and immediate. And there are a lot of books, it seems to me, these days that are deliberately written to be big books, because that is meant for a certain kind of reading situation, like being stuck on a plane or something.
Whereas you could always just take along 2 of your books rather than one big fat one. David Malouf, what do you think as you see bookstores such as Angus and Robertson go into receivership and publishers say they're struggling at the moment? What are the thoughts that go through your head looking at that situation?
Well, obviously, the book itself is in question at the moment, with a different kind of reading object. But basically, we're very lucky here. It's true that those larger bookshops have gone to the wall, but one of the things that we have in Australia, which has largely gone in Britain and gone in America, are the independent bookshops. And we have a very, very strong book culture here among the independent bookshops, and I must say also among smaller publishers. So I would have said that in spite of the demise of those larger organisations, that book culture here is very, very healthy, and I'd be very hopeful for it.
But when you say that the position, the state of the book is in question at the moment because of the new objects that have come in, I guess you're referring there to iPads and Kindles and the like. Do you believe that the new technology is a threat to the book or part of its evolution?
It could be, but when I look back on history, I think what usually happens is that one technology doesn't replace another, it supplements it. And it took a very, very long time, for example, for the scroll in Roman times to replace to be replaced by the book itself. And it took a very long time for printing, really, printed books to replace hand-copied books. So certainly for a long time, I think we're going to have both kinds of reading available to people, and it will sort itself out. But basically, what matters is the reading itself rather than how you do it, it seems to me.
You've been on important arts boards such as Opera Australia over the years and are still very closely connected to that broader culture. What impression do you form so far of this federal government's commitment to the arts?
Oh, look, I don't think I see any real commitment from the present government. I don't think they think the arts are important. I don't think most of the people who belong to the government or really to the opposition in federal politics are people who are actual people who go to symphony concerts, who go to the opera, who go to the theatre. I don't think that makes up much of their life. So I don't think that there are very many of them who see the importance of that to a very, very large part of the population. And it isn't just about entertainment, and it's not about social status. It's about what people get in the way of energy that they take back into their lives from reading, from going to a concert, from going to the theatre. These are things that actually feed our energy in ways that make us do what we do with greater verve, but also with a greater understanding of what real excellence might be.